Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut. And after coming off of WrestleMania Backlash last night, which was a surprisingly fun, enjoyable show, not a great show by any means. After coming off that last night and going into Monday Night Raw tonight, WWE is, of course, back in the creative house of shit. Because Monday Night Raw tonight, this is how I would describe the show tonight. Yeah, that's how I would describe Monday Night Raw tonight. Very boring show. The first hour of the show was nothing but rematch after rematch after rematch. I mean, look at what we got in the first hour tonight. RKBro, Riddle and Randy Orton versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles. WWE, they canceled the unification match, and even though they said that, they didn't have plans to unify the tag team titles, which Paul Heyman, we all remember that Paul Heyman told the Usos to go to Monday Night Raw and unify the tag team titles, and we were originally going to get the unification match for the tag team titles at WrestleMania Backlash, but WWE went and decided to cancel it and said, oh yeah, we didn't have any plans to unify the tag team titles. So after they canceled that and not having the unification match, look at what we are getting next. Look at what we got tonight. RKBro versus the Street Profits again for the 1,000th time. Boy, was I right when I said, with WWE canceling the unification match to unify the tag team titles, we would be getting more matches with RKBro, the Street Profits, and then RKBro versus the Alpha Academy, or the Alpha Academy versus the Street Profits. Didn't I say that was going to happen? And look, I was right. RKBro versus the Street Profits for the 1,000th time tonight. We have Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. How many times have we seen this? Nothing new. Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. How many times have we seen this? This was all in the first hour of the show tonight. And then we had Sonya Deville, which I will get into that as I talk about what happened with Sonya Deville. And we had a return tonight. Veer Mahaan, once again, defeating a local jobber, local talent. WWE just keeps feeding Veer Mahaan local talent jobbers for him to squash. This guy needs talent. This guy needs to have a feud with someone on the roster, and WWE should not keep feeding Veer Mahaan local talent. I mean, enough is enough. Give Veer Mahaan competition to someone on the roster. And then this was the only match that WWE announced on their social media today. And this was the only match that they announced. And it was Cody Rhodes versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Now when I saw that, I'm like, what the fuck? Why are they doing this? What did Cody Rhodes do to earn an opportunity to face Austin Theory for the United States Championship? What do you do? Absolutely nothing. And you all know what they're going to do at the end of the match. You already know that it was going to be a disqualification. Seth Rollins was going to come out there and cost Cody Rhodes the match. Absolutely pointless. Can WWE be any more predictable? And then we have Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Nikki, A.S.H, and Doudrop. Yeah, that sounds exciting. We had Ciampa versus Mustafa Ali, to which The Miz was the special guest referee of that match. And we had Bianca Belair versus Asuka, which was the main event. Yeah, this was Monday Night Raw tonight. What an awful fucking show this was. Absolutely boring. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with RKBro, Riddle, and Randy Orton. They ended up coming out, and they got into the ring. Orton got on the mic. He welcomed everyone to Monday Night Raw. And he ended up saying, unfortunately, last night at WrestleMania Backlash, even though him and Riddle gave it everything they had, they both end up losing the battle to the Bloodline with Drew McIntyre. You know what I'm saying? But before this is all said and done, they will win the war. So Orton brought up how the Usos really want to unify the titles, so they keep teasing that. WWE keeps teasing that of the them unifying the tag team titles. So Orton ended up saying that didn't happen because Roman Reigns tore the contracts up, as he knew his cousins can't hold a candle to RK-Bro. Orton ended up saying that him and Riddle want the SmackDown Tag Team titles so that they can become the first ever undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. Riddle then went on to say that him and Orton are going to SmackDown on Friday. And if Reigns says no to the match, to the unification match, it just proves that the tribal chief has no confidence in his cousins. So, like I said, WWE, they're just teasing this with the unification match for the tag team titles. So Riddle hyped up Orton, and out came the Street Profits. And when they came out, I'm like, oh, here we go. We're going to get another match with RK-Bro and the Street Profits for the 1,000th fucking time. So Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins come out. They both got on the mic. They were taunting RK-Bro for losing at WrestleMania Backlash. And they ended up saying that they should be worried about them, the Profits, not the Usos. So Dawkins and Ford end up declaring that they got next, and they will be the ones to unify the titles. So Ford ended up saying not only do they want the Raw Tag Team titles, they want the smoke as well. So Riddle ended up saying, oh, well, RK-Bro 420, we just smoked your asses. And Orton ended up saying they're going to do it with the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment. Of course, RKO. So pretty much that was basically that. That was how the segment ended. But, with them still teasing about this unification match for the tag team titles, Paul Heyman did the same thing. Paul Heyman ended up telling the Usos, oh, I want you both to go to the Monday Night Raw, and I want you to unify the Raw Tag Team titles. So don't let WWE bullshit all of you, saying, oh, yeah, we didn't plan to have a unification match to unify the tag team titles. Paul Heyman said it on a SmackDown and told the Usos to go to Monday Night Raw to unify the titles. So don't tell me, oh, the unification match, we didn't plan to have that. Don't believe WWE's bullshit. They canceled the unification match for the tag team titles because they knew it would be the right thing to do. And they don't want that. They don't want to make things better. I mean, if we had the unification match and unified the tag team titles, we only have one set of tag team titles, and it would have merged the tag team division. Think of how good the tag team division would be if we only had one set of tag team titles and they were unified and the tag team divisions were merged. Be a whole lot better than how the tag team division is currently, because the tag team division on both shows, on Raw and SmackDown, are god fucking awful. So let them keep teasing about this unification match to unify the tag team titles. So then we had the match RKBro versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles. Same shit. Same old shit. What is this? The 1,000th time already that we've seen them go at it? Nothing new here. Ford and Riddle started off the match. Ford ended up rolling Riddle up, and Riddle kicked out at 2. Ford was delivering some quick roll-ups, and Ford started taunting Matt Riddle. Both of them locked up. Riddle ended up nailing a flying armbar to Ford. Riddle jumped on Ford's back, and then they went back and forth. So Ford ended up taking control of the match. He nailed a drop kick to Riddle, tagged in Dawkins. Him and Dawkins double teamed on Riddle. Dawkins delivered a shoulder block to Riddle, went for the cover, to which Riddle kicked out at 2. Dawkins then delivered another drop kick to Riddle, went for another pin, to which Riddle kicked out. So Riddle fought back, ended up delivering some kicks to Dawkins, and Orton ended up tagging in. He delivered some uppercuts to Dawkins. He slammed Dawkins face first into the turnbuckle, and Orton ended up mounting Dawkins in the corner with some right hands. Riddle tagged back in. Orton dropped Dawkins, and then flipped Riddle onto Dawkins, and went for the cover, to which Dawkins kicked out at 2. Ford tagged in. Riddle ended up sending Dawkins out to the floor with the scissors. Dawkins ended up bringing Riddle out to the floor. Montez Ford ended up leaping out with a big dive, taking Riddle down at ringside. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Montez Ford ended up leveling Riddle with a clothesline. Riddle countered a suplex from Montez Ford, and he ended up nailing a jumping knee to Montez Ford's face. Orton and Dawkins both tagged in. Orton ended up nailing a power slam on Dawkins. Ford ended up coming in, and Orton ended up delivering a power slam to Ford in the middle of the ring. Orton ended up going for the second rope drape and DDT on Dawkins, to which he nailed Dawkins with it. So Orton ended up dropping down, and Dawkins ended up blocking the RKO and decked Orton. Riddle tagged in. Dawkins didn't even see the tag made by Riddle, and he got hit by Riddle. Orton and Ford ended up getting sent out to the floor, to which Riddle delivered a punt kick to Ford from the apron. So at the end of the match, Montez Ford ended up going up to the top, and he was trying to go for another frog splash, to which he hit a frog splash to Riddle. Orton ended up coming in to make the save. So Ford was going for another frog splash. Riddle ended up catching Ford in midair as Ford ended up leaping off the top, and Riddle ended up dropping Ford with the RKO, which looked nice. So Riddle ended up going for the cover, and there you go. RKBro ended up winning the match. And Orton ended up looking a bit shocked and impressed with Riddle after Riddle ended up catching Montez Ford in midair and delivered the RKO. But overall, same shit. We've seen this 1,000 times already with RK-Bro and the Street Profits. I mean, this is what WWE gets when you cancel the unification match to unify the tag team titles. So now we're going to be getting RK-Bro and the Street Profits. Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. RK-Bro versus the Alpha Academy. You know, you're going to have a rinse and repeat and rehash situation. I won't be surprised if we see RK-Bro versus the Street Profits again. Just rehash after rehash after rehash. So now we had Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick was on the stage, and he ended up welcoming Austin Theory, or Theory as they call him. So Theory ended up coming out. He got boos from the crowd. He made his way up on the stage to where Kevin Patrick was standing. Kevin Patrick ended up asking Theory how he's preparing for such a worthy challenge in Cody Rhodes. Theory ended up asking Kevin Patrick if he looks like he needs to prepare, because he can do this all day. He wants to say that he is the youngest United States champion for a reason. Theory wanted to say that he's already great and is barely scratching the surface of his full potential. So Theory ended up yelling at the fans to shut up, and he ended up saying that he doesn't give a damn about Cody or the past, because he is the future, and all he cares about is himself. So Theory ended up taking a selfie with himself, and pretty much that was that. Basically very old schoolish here with Kevin Patrick. Ended up introducing Austin Theory. Austin Theory ended up going up to the stage, and you just see, the ring and the crowd there. So very old schoolish here, as what WWE used to do back in the day at points. And then we had Judgment Day. Judgment Day came out. We had Damian Priest, Edge, and Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley being the newest inductee into the group, to which we saw last night at WrestleMania Backlash. And all three of them looked great when they came out. Edge had a new haircut. He cut his hair, and with his new haircut, it looks good on him, but I'm like, did he take hair tips from Drake Maverick? Or did he watch Saved by the Bell episodes and do his haircut like Mark Paul Gosselaar, who played Zach Morris in Saved by the Bell? Or did he just ask them, oh, give me the Rhea Ripley. Give me Rhea Ripley's haircut. So, but Edge's haircut looks good. So Edge was on the mic as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. Edge wanted to say that they formed the Judgment Day because they were tired of being sheep like all of you. Edge ended up saying that did get him a WWE Hall of Fame ring, but he ended up saying big deal because he's bigger than the Hall of Fame. He ended up saying that also got his body beat up. So he talked about how his body is full of injuries sustained over the years. He kept scolding the fans for being keyboard warriors because they go on social media and just make asinine comments. So Edge ended up saying that Judgment Day holds the mirror up to each fan, and the fans don't like what they see, mainly because they're ugly. He wanted to say that Judgment Day can look in any mirror, and they like what they see. So Edge then ended up talking trash on AJ Styles, and he then trashed the Hartford crowd. He ended up saying they don't seem to understand that no one can touch Judgment Day. So the fans were chanting, "You suck," to Edge. So Damian Priest then got on the mic. Damian Priest ended up saying that the truth hurts, as individually, him and Edge were able to destroy all of your favorites. But together they are something more, something else. But imagine adding an instrument of brutality, which they did in Rhea Ripley. Edge ended up showing Rhea Ripley off, and they got mostly the crowd ended up booing Rhea Ripley, and she got cheers. So it was kind of like a mixed reaction that Rhea Ripley got. And like I said last night, with Rhea Ripley being in Judgment Day, this could benefit Rhea Ripley here, which I hope it does good for her. And so Rhea Ripley got on the mic, and she ended up saying joining the group was the easiest decision of her life. She ended up saying that she saw the two of them change for the better, and she wanted that for herself. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she's done signing autographs at the airport for all the little kids who come to her saying they want to be like her when they grow up. And then she ended up saying that she goes online the next day and sees the autographs on eBay. She ends up saying she's done being used, and that's why she joined the Judgment Day, to which the fans were giving Rhea Ripley the what treatment. So I'm like, oh, that's not good there. That's not good. So Rhea ended up saying that, speaking of being used, she has some unfinished business to tend to. Liv Morgan. Here we go. Another rematch. Rhea ended up saying that Liv can no longer ride her coattails, and tonight she will give her a reason to cry when she destroys her. So Edge ended up hyping Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley and, their unrealized potential. He ended up saying that Priest as the punishment, Rhea Ripley as the eradicator. So Edge ended up revealing how he recently approached Rhea Ripley and talked to her about her true potential, which led to the split from Liv Morgan. So Edge ended up taking the credit for breaking up the fans' favorite tag team, as he told Rhea Ripley that Liv Morgan was holding her back. He ended up saying that he saw wasted domination and a juggernaut willing to live in the slow lane instead of dominating everything. He ended up saying that his movement is not done and that they aren't finished yet. So he got interrupted by Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ended up coming out, and as Liv Morgan came out, why was she smiling? WWE has this agenda where certain superstars come out there and they're smiling. Liv Morgan comes out there, she's like, I'm like, you should be pissed off. Because you fought Rhea Ripley once. You should be pissed off coming out there, just ready to rush into the ring and kick her ass. Comes out here smiling. Same thing with Raquel Gonzalez. I forgot to mention, when Raquel Gonzalez came out on SmackDown, she had the same thing. Comes out smiling. Raquel Gonzalez, has to go out there and just be aggressive. I don't know what WWE and this whole mentality of certain superstars coming out there smiling. And in her in-ring debut on SmackDown, Raquel Gonzalez, whenever she hit a move or elbow, like for instance, if she hit an elbow, she's smiling. If she hit a suplex, smiling. She go for a pin, smiling. I'm like, what is this mentality of some of the superstars coming out there smiling when a certain superstar talks trash on you? So we had Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, same old shit, nothing different in this match. I said, second rematch. Liv Morgan marched to the ring. Edge and Damian Priest were watching from ringside. Both Morgan and Rhea Ripley end up brawling. Rhea Ripley ended up dropping Liv. The referee ended up checking on her. Rhea Ripley then ended up launching Liv Morgan across the ring, charged in with a shoulder thrust into the corner to Liv Morgan. She ended up tossing Liv Morgan across the ring, and Liv Morgan ended up fighting from the corner. Rhea Ripley delivered some shoulder thrusts to Liv Morgan as the referee was counting. Edge and Damian Priest were looking on as Rhea Ripley ended up taking Liv Morgan down into a triangle submission in the middle of the ring. Rhea Ripley was screaming in Liv Morgan's face. Liv tried to turn her around into a 2 count, but Rhea Ripley ended up kicking out and leveled Rhea Ripley with a boot. So at the end of the match, you had Rhea Ripley end up applying the inverted cloverleaf on Liv Morgan in the middle of the ring. Liv ended up trying to crawl to the ropes, but Rhea Ripley ended up tightening the hold, and so Rhea Ripley ended up winning the match. Post-match, Judgment Day ended up standing tall in the middle of the ring. Edge ended up nodding at Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley ended up going after Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley ended up ragdolling Liv Morgan with the inverted cloverleaf, and she ended up making Liv Morgan scream while Edge ended up getting down in Liv Morgan's face, just laughing at Liv Morgan and taunting her. So then, Judgment Day stood tall. Out came Finn Balor. He ended up coming to the stage. He walked towards the ring. And then out came AJ Styles. So Styles ended up standing with Balor on the ramp. And Monday Night Raw went to commercial. But, I like Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. All three of them looked awesome, there, just holding their arms up like that. But hopefully we get Ciampa as the fourth member of Judgment Day, which is rumored, but I hope we get Ciampa. Hopefully he's the next member to join Damian Priest, Edge, and Rhea Ripley in Judgment Day. He would work best with them. And that would be a good stable there. And hopefully Edge has full creative control of this. And I hope it's not in WWE's hands. I hope Edge, like I said, has full control, full creative control over this. Because if WWE has control of this, they will find a way to fuck it up. Then we went to Finn Balor versus Damian Priest as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. Another rematch. How many times have we seen Balor and Priest go at it? Nothing new here. So Priest ended up countering Balor's offense, started unload with some strikes to Balor. Priest ended up delivering a stage dive, hip attack in the corner to Balor. Balor then ended up backing Damian Priest into the corner. Priest ended up hitting the bell clap on Balor. And he laid Balor out with a clothesline out of the corner. Priest kept control of the match and launched Balor across the ring with a broken arrow, to which he went for the cover, to which Balor kicked out of 2. Priest ended up running into boots in the corner from Balor. So Balor ended up attacking, and Priest ended up dropping him, ground him in the middle of the ring with the knee to his back. So Balor mounted some offense. He ended up delivering a double stomp to Priest. Balor countered a move from Priest, and he rolled Priest up, to which Priest kicked out 2. And then Balor went for the sling blade. Balor ended up sending Priest out to the floor. Balor ran the ropes for a big dive, and Rhea Ripley was standing in front of the ring. And Rhea Ripley was looking to sacrifice herself. So she got in the way of Damian Priest, and then Balor turned around to a spear from Edge, and so the referee ended up calling for the match. So Finn Balor won the match by disqualification. Post-match, Styles ended up running to the ring. Him and Edge ended up going at it. Rhea Ripley came back in. She provided a distraction, which she ended up grabbing Styles from behind. Styles ended up stopping himself from hitting Rhea Ripley. So Styles ended up yelling at Rhea, and that allowed Edge to take Styles back down. Priest and Edge ended up hitting a elimination combo, with Edge ended up delivering a spear to Styles. So Judgment Day ended up standing tall in the middle of the ring, holding their arms up like that. So that was that. Overall, Balor versus Priest, we've seen it before. Nothing new here. Like I said, this whole first hour was nothing but rematches. And then we had Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was backstage with the Alpha Academy with Chad Gable and Otis. Chad Gable ended up telling Kevin Owens that he has sent one of Ezekiel's cups to a DNA lab. And this time next week, they will have evidence that Ezekiel has been lying about not being Elias, to which Kevin Owens ended up liking that idea. Kevin Owens ended up going on to say that he has a special guest coming, and that is his older brother, Ken Owens. He ended up saying that his older brother is going to beat the truth out of Elias, but he ends up meaning Ezekiel. So pretty much that was that. We saw that later on in the night. And then we had the VIP lounge. MVP ended up saying that the VIP lounge is for people who are better than the fans. He ended up calling on everyone to give it up for Omos and respect him. Who wants to give it up for Omos? Like, really? So MVP, like I said, he told everyone to give it up for Omos and respect him because he was touting how he dominated Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania Backlash. So MVP ended up saying that Omos proved how everything he's been saying since day one was the truth. So MVP was ranting about Bobby Lashley, and then he got interrupted by Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander came out, he got on the mic, and he bragged about how we did it. So security was out there. I guess security was out there from protecting MVP and Omos from Bobby Lashley coming into the ring. So security ended up stopping Cedric Alexander from entering the VIP lounge at first, but then the security ended up stepping aside. Cedric got into the ring. Cedric was still talking about we as a group. So MVP ended up asking what he means about this we talk. And Cedric ended up saying that the three of them in the ring. So MVP ended up cutting Cedric Alexander off. He ended up saying that he likes Cedric. And then out came Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was furious. Security ended up charging at Bobby Lashley at ringside. But Bobby Lashley ended up taking out the security. He ended up running one of the security guys into the ring post. And Cedric leapt off the apron. Lashley caught Cedric. And Lashley ended up throwing Cedric into the barricade. There was one security guy where Lashley ended up flipping him, and one of the security guys, back body dropped onto the floor. Lashley and Omos ended up facing off in the ring. Omos shoved Lashley, and he ended up saying, "Let's go." But then Lashley ended up clotheslining Omos out to the floor. Lashley then faced off with MVP. Cedric Alexander once again jumped on Bobby Lashley's back, and Lashley ended up slamming him and allowed MVP to retreat from the ring. Lashley ended up tearing up the VIP lounge. Cedric springboarded back in, and Lashley ended up catching him in the Hurt Lock. Lashley ended up ragdolling Cedric in the Hurt Lock as MVP and Omos ended up watching from ringside. And that was basically that. But WWE has Cedric Alexander go there and job to Bobby Lashley. And then we had Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville backstage. Sonya Deville ended up saying to Adam Pearce that she has had enough of this formal investigation into her conduct because they both know she gets the job done. So Sonya Deville ended up asking Adam Pearce, who is she facing tonight? So Adam Pearce ended up going on to explain, and Sonya Deville ended up interrupting. And she ended up saying that she doesn't want to know who it is, because with her, it's always business. It's nothing personal. So that was that. And then Sonya Deville ended up coming out. As Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Sonya Deville was waiting in the ring. Adam Pearce ended up coming out. Adam Pearce ended up telling Sonya Deville that he tried explaining this earlier, but the investigation into Sonya Deville has concluded. And Adam Pearce ended up telling Sonya Deville that upper management found that Sonya Deville recklessly abuses her power. So now Deville's contract as a WWE official is terminated. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that Sonya Deville is still a superstar, and Adam Pearce ended up introducing Sonya Deville's opponent. And out came the return of Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss came out smiling. She ended up coming out with Lily the doll. She still has Lily the doll there. So she got on the ring. She was posing on the ropes. And then the match got underway, which this was a very quick match. So Alexa Bliss ended up dropping Sonya Deville with a DDT. The fans end up chanting "Welcome back" to Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss, when she was gone, she got married to Ryan Cabrera, and looked like she might have had like a nose job because there was a photo going around of her with her nose all busted up, which saw the photo online. It looked very brutal. But Alexa Bliss ended up going right to the top. She delivered Twisted Bliss on Sonya Deville. She went for the cover. And there you go. Alexa Bliss wins the match in her return on Monday Night Raw. So post-match, Sonya Deville was at ringside crying. Bliss ended up taking Lily, ended up heading to the back. Sonya Deville was throwing a fit at ringside. And that was basically that. So, but Alexa Bliss is back. It's not the magic Alexa Bliss that she had with her being like possessed, doing all this magic, with Bray Wyatt when he was with WWE and The Fiend. She's not doing that no more. But she still has Lily the doll. So, and she came out to her old theme music, which was awesome to hear again. And then we had Ken Owens versus Ezekiel. So we had Ezekiel end up coming out, the live-action Stu Pickles from the Rugrats, because he looks like Stu Pickles in live-action form, minus the purple hair. So Ezekiel was in the ring as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. So then Ken Owens ended up coming out, which was really Kevin Owens. He was just sporting a wig, gray hair, and gray beard. That's all it was. It was just Kevin Owens going out there wearing a gray wig and a gray beard. So Kevin Owens got on the mic and he introduced himself. Ezekiel ended up saying hello, to which Owens ended up saying to Ezekiel, "Don't do that," because he's trying to prove a point that the people really don't believe this isn't Elias, besides maybe a few dumbasses. So Kevin Owens ended up asking, who believes this is really Elias's younger brother? To which the crowd ended up popping. Owens then ended up insulting the Hartford crowd for being idiots and liars. He started yelling at Ezekiel, telling him to cut the crap. So Ezekiel ended up advising Kevin Owens not to yell. Owens ended up revealing that he is Kevin, not Ken. So he demanded Ezekiel to admit that he is really Elias. Ezekiel ended up saying that he is not Elias, but right now would be the perfect time for Elias to come out and sing a lullaby to Kevin Owens to calm him down. Kevin Owens then ended up attacking Ezekiel from the side, started beating him down. Ezekiel fought back, started loading the corner on Owens. Chad Gable ended up rushing into the ring, and Ezekiel ended up hitting a big boot to Chad Gable. And then Otis, the tree trunk, as what they call Otis, rushed into the ring, and Ezekiel was getting triple teamed by Otis and Chad Gable and Kevin Owens. Otis then delivered a splash while Ezekiel was held down in the middle of the ring. So Chad Gable and Otis stand up holding Ezekiel up, which allowed Kevin Owens to drop Ezekiel with a stunner. Owens and the Alpha Academy started taunting Ezekiel and stood over him, and that was basically that. But this was vomit-inducing material here with this segment. Just absolutely awful. So what are we going to have? We're going to have Ezekiel versus Chad Gable, or Ezekiel versus Otis. Or they might do a 3-on-1 handicap match where Ezekiel has to fight Kevin Owens, Chad Gable, and Otis. Holloway, I see WWE doing that. This was absolutely awful, this segment. So then we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was backstage, and he was with Asuka. Adam Pearce was commenting to Asuka on how she is more than deserving for a shot at the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch ended up appearing, and she kept saying to Adam Pearce that she's not happy with how she still hasn't received a rematch, while Asuka is being handed a shot at the title. Adam Pearce ended up telling Becky Lynch that Asuka must defeat the champion in a non-title match. Then she earns a shot at the title. So Becky Lynch kept arguing with Adam Pearce, and she reminded Adam Pearce about how she handed Asuka the title 2 years ago when Becky Lynch was going out for maternity leave. So Asuka ended up interrupting, and she was yelling at Becky Lynch, saying that she didn't need her. Becky Lynch ended up yelling at Adam Pearce some more as Pearce ended up walking off. Asuka ended up saying that Becky Lynch gave her the title to go and become a mommy. But she's not acting like a mommy. She's acting like a baby. So Becky Lynch ended up walking off. Asuka was taunting Becky Lynch for crying. And pretty much that was basically that. And then we have Veer Mahaan versus Frank Loman. Veer Mahaan, WWE is still giving Veer Mahaan local jobber talents for him to fight. Veer Mahaan needs competition on the roster. Stop giving him local talent jobbers that he can just destroy. Get Veer Mahaan in a feud already. I think it's time. I'm tired of seeing WWE book Veer Mahaan to face local talent jobbers. It's like they got nothing for Veer Mahaan, but just, here's a local talent there, here's a local talent there. For next week, here's a local talent there. For 3 weeks from now, here's a local talent that you got there in the month. Give Veer Mahaan competition. So Byron Saxton was in the ring as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. He was interviewing Frank Loman, and he introduced him as being from Hartford. Saxton asked Loman if he has any concerns going up against Veer. Frank ended up telling Byron Saxton, of course he's concerned, and he doesn't want to be carted out of here after being decimated. But he has a wife and a beautiful set of triplets that expect him to survive for them. So he has to do this for his family. Well, I'm sorry, Frank. You got decimated in this match by Veer Mahaan. So Veer Mahaan just laid out Loman, locked in the cervical clutch. There you go. Veer Mahaan ended up winning the match. So in this time, Veer Mahaan didn't lock in the cervical clutch post-match on his opponent. It's been an ongoing thing every week after the match. Just Veer Mahaan wants to lock in the cervical clutch post-match and decimate his opponents. But we didn't get that this week. So once again, another local talent that Veer Mahaan takes out. Please, we need, like I said, we need Veer Mahaan for competition on the roster. He needs to have a feud. Stop giving him local talent jobbers for him to just, destroy. He needs a good feud with someone on the main roster. And then we had Kevin Patrick backstage with Cody Rhodes. Kevin Patrick ended up congratulating Cody Rhodes on defeating Seth Rollins at WrestleMania Backlash. And Kevin Patrick ended up asking Rhodes what is next between the two. Rhodes ended up saying that nothing is next. He gave Rollins some praise. He ended up saying that as far as he's concerned, their chapter is closed. I don't think so. I don't think so, Cody. So Rhodes ended up mentioning how Theory has so much potential, but you have to dig to find potential. And Theory better be ready to dig tonight, because nothing sounds better than the American Nightmare as the new United States champion. So then we have the match. Cody Rhodes versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Cody ended up coming out, got a pop from the crowd. Pyro, of course. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, we had Austin Theory end up coming out. And the match, it was a pointless match because what did Cody Rhodes do to earn an opportunity to face Theory for the United States Championship? He did nothing. So this was just a pointless match that they announced on their social media today, on WWE social media, which was the only match that they announced on social media because they announced nothing else for the show tonight. So we had both Cody and Theory end up blocking up, and Rhodes ended up going behind. Theory ended up stalling in the ropes as the referee was warning Cody. Theory ended up locking that headlock on Cody, to which he then ended up dropping Cody with a shoulder, He ended up taunting Cody with the Stardust pose. Rhodes ended up kicking Theory, ended up hitting a single drop down, right hand for a quick pin attempt. Rhodes ended up ducking a punch from Theory, ended up going for a backslide. Theory ended up nailing a back elbow to Rhodes as the referee was trying to break the both of them up. Rhodes ended up stunning Theory with a forearm. Theory ended up hanging Rhodes over the top rope and rolled in from the apron with a drop kick, and he went for the cover, to which Cody ended up kicking out too. So Theory ended up keeping Rhodes down. He ended up going for another quick pin attempt. Rhodes ended up fighting free and ran the ropes. Theory ended up dropping Cody with another elbow. So Theory ended up showing off. He was wasting time, but Rhodes ended up taking advantage. Theory ended up countering and whipped Cody hard into the turnbuckles. Theory ended up keeping Cody down, started working him over. Cody ended up fighting back, but Theory ended up hitting a snap suplex, and he went for a quick pin attempt. So, at the end of the match, of course, we all knew how the match was going to end. Seth Rollins ended up attacking from behind, and the referee ended up calling for the bell, so Austin Theory ended up retaining the United States Championship, but Cody ended up winning by disqualification. So that's the second disqualification of the night so far. Post-match, Rollins continued to beat down on Cody, ended up sending him to the floor. Rollins was yelling in Cody's face, and he then delivered a stomp to Cody on top of the commentary table. Cody ended up falling to the floor, and officials ended up checking to come on Cody. Rollins kept yelling about never again. So pretty much that was basically that. But overall, very pointless match. We all knew how the match was going to end. And can WWE get any more predictable, with this outcome? But obviously, we're going to get Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins 3 at Hell in a Cell. And them two will possibly be inside Hell in a Cell. That match will be inside Hell in a Cell. And then we had Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Doudrop and Nikki A.S.H. Very boring match. Did not give a shit. So Sasha Banks and Naomi end up coming out. And then Doudrop and Nikki A.S.H. were already in the ring. And on commentary, they end up hyping up on SmackDown for Friday. It's going to be Sasha and Naomi versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya. And the Women's Tag Team titles are going to be on the line. Who cares? Who cares? We all know that Sasha Banks and Naomi are going to retain the Women's Tag Team titles. Now, I expect that to be a very boring match. It's SmackDown. What do you expect? So, Naomi ended up drop kicking Doudrop, and she delivered a splash in the corner. Doudrop ended up knocking her away. Both women went back and forth, Naomi ended up trying to roll Doudrop up, but Doudrop ended up splashing down on Naomi. She ended up going for the cover, to which Naomi kicked out too. So Doudrop ended up beating Naomi around using the middle rope. Doudrop clubbed Naomi back down to the mat, and Sasha was reaching for a tag, and Naomi ended up getting it open. She ended up delivering a draw breaker to Doudrop, but Doudrop ended up stopping her from tagging in Sasha. So Naomi ended up stunning Doudrop with an enziguri, and Sasha ended up tagging in. Doudrop ended up catching her crossbody in midair. Doudrop then ended up slamming Sasha, and in came in Nikki, and Nikki ended up going for the cover, to which Sasha ended up kicking out too. So Nikki ended up mounting Sasha with some left and rights. She kept control of the match, and at the end of the match, we had Naomi end up coming in. She ended up nailing a roundhouse kick to Nikki, and we had Sasha and Naomi end up going at it. They end up delivering a double team to Nikki, and so Sasha and Naomi ended up winning the match. Overall, didn't care for this match. This match sucked. Post-match, we had Sasha and Naomi end up celebrating. Doudrop ended up having some words for Nikki. Doudrop was asking when will she start taking things seriously. And then out came The Miz. The Miz was wearing a referee shirt. So Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, The Miz was in the ring along with Ciampa and Mustafa Ali. Miz ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying that Mustafa Ali has a point when he says he hasn't been treated fairly. So Theory ended up going to Vince McMahon, and that he got Miz to be the special guest referee for the match. So Miz ended up saying that he will be impartial, and he will call the match right down the middle. So then we got the match, Ciampa versus Mustafa Ali. And the match ended up starting. Ciampa ended up taking Mustafa Ali to the corner. Mustafa Ali ended up ducking a shot and nailed a chop in the corner. Ciampa ended up dropping Mustafa Ali with a right hand, and it was back and forth between them. Mustafa Ali ended up going for a pin, but The Miz was just slow to count. Ciampa ended up decking Mustafa Ali with a shot to the back of his head. Ciampa then started unloading on Mustafa Ali while he was down in the corner. And Ciampa ended up stomping away. He ended up missing the running boot as Mustafa Ali ended up sliding out to the floor. Ciampa ended up nailing a knee strike to send Mustafa Ali flying off the apron down to the floor. So Ciampa ended up falling out to the floor and leveled Mustafa Ali, and he laid him out with a clothesline. Miz ended up counting as Ciampa ended up bringing Mustafa Ali back into the ring. So Ciampa approached, and Mustafa Ali ended up cradling Ciampa. Miz was just slow once again to count. So we had Mustafa Ali later on rolling through on the 450 as Ciampa ended up moving. Ciampa ended up nailing a right hand at Mustafa Ali and then a big boot. So we had Mustafa Ali end up delivering a super kick and then a tornado DDT. And Mustafa Ali ended up going for the cover. The Miz ended up counting slow, which allowed Ciampa to kick out. So Mustafa Ali and The Miz ended up having some words. Ciampa ended up coming from behind. He ended up dropping Mustafa Ali with the inverted DDT. Ciampa ended up covering Mustafa Ali, and Miz ended up quickly covering for the pin. And Miz was channeling his Earl Hebner, with Earl Hebner with the quick count, when he refereed the match with Triple H. So Ciampa ended up winning the match. But all this is WWE is doing with Mustafa Ali. They're just punishing him. That's what it is. They are punishing Mustafa Ali because Mustafa Ali wanted out of his contract, but WWE is being petty and wouldn't grant Mustafa Ali his release, so they're just punishing him. What more else can WWE do to punish Mustafa Ali? Are they going to make him cut his hair? Are they going to feed Mustafa Ali to Omos or Veer Mahaan? You already tell that that's what WWE has in mind. But Mustafa Ali deserves better. Mustafa Ali needs to walk out, if I was him. Mustafa Ali needs to seriously walk out. He deserves better. And then we had Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was backstage. He ended up saying that MVP is the reason Omos won the match at WrestleMania Backlash. And MVP is the only reason. Bobby Lashley wanted to say that next week he wants Omos trapped inside a steel cage. So we're going to be getting that next week. Bobby Lashley versus Omos again, but only inside of a steel cage. Oh joy. Great. Hopefully that's the last we see of Omos and Bobby Lashley in this awful feud. I don't want to see anything else with Omos and Bobby Lashley after the cage match next week. And the only reason why we are getting this steel cage match possibly is because NBC Universal probably went to WWE and said, oh, well, you guys had a cage match on SmackDown. Fox got their steel cage match on SmackDown in McIntyre and Sami Zayn. How about we get a steel cage match? So WWE, said to NBC Universal, oh, okay, you could have, a steel cage match, but let's do it with Bobby Lashley and Omos. And this is not the first time that NBC Universal probably did this. Remember last year where SmackDown got a Hell in a Cell match and NBC Universal went to WWE and said, oh, well, SmackDown, Fox got their Hell in a Cell on SmackDown. How about we do a Hell in a Cell match? So then they got a Hell in a Cell match on Raw last year. So it's the same thing, but only it's a steel cage match this time. So we're going to be seeing that next week. And I already can tell it's going to be fucking awful. It's going to be absolutely boring. Hopefully, after next week is the last we see of this feud with Omos and Bobby Lashley. And then we had this garbage with Dana Brooke, Reggie, R-Truth, Tamina, and Akira Tozawa, the 24/7 crew. So R-Truth was backstage with Dana Brooke and Tamina. R-Truth ended up asking if they're sure they want to go through with this. Because last week, Dana Brooke got on top of the commentary table and she kept saying to Reggie, I want a divorce. So Reggie and Akira Tozawa end up showing up with flowers. R-Truth ended up serving Reggie first with the divorce papers. Truth ended up doing the same to Akira Tozawa. But Akira Tozawa threw the flowers at R-Truth. He ended up saying no, and then he ran away. Tamina ended up telling R-Truth that he has to serve Tozawa with the papers to make it official. So R-Truth ended up chasing Akira Tozawa. So Reggie ended up wanting to talk with Dana Brooke, and Tamina ended up saying no. And so she ushered Reggie away. And that was basically that. But awful, awful, awful. Awful fucking television this was. Main event. Becky Lynch versus Asuka. And, this we haven't seen this before with Bianca Belair and Asuka. This was the first time we had Becky Lynch on commentary for the match. And this match was only 4 minutes. This match went on 4 minutes until the end of the show. and it was very quick. So the match ended in a disqualification because Becky ended up attacking at ringside out of nowhere at Bianca Belair. She ended up pulling Bianca out to the floor, sending her into the ring steps. So the referee called for the match. So Bianca Belair won the match by disqualification, which this is the third match that ended in a disqualification tonight. So post-match, Becky started working Bianca Belair over at ringside, and then she ended up taking it to Asuka in the ring. Becky Lynch ended up dropping Asuka in the middle of the ring with the manhandle slam. She kept control and started talking trash, and that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, nothing happened in this match. Literally, the match was only 4 minutes. The match went on at 10:55, or 10:56, like around there. And that was all it was. Just a nothing match. Overall, Monday Night Raw, absolutely terrible. God-awful show, very boring. 3 disqualifications in 3 matches tonight. Awful. And the first hour was all rematches. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, which will be the Dynamite review. So until that, I'll see you all Wednesday for Dynamite.